You've spoken about Donald Trump, Joe Biden's rival candidate for the presidency. You have described him as, and I quote, a neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath, unquote. You also labelled him a, and I quote, tyrant in a toupee, unquote. How does that set up a relationship for you and potentially him if he wins the US presidential election?
You're going to struggle to find any politician who has not had things to say about Donald Trump in his first term, particularly on Twitter. You would have struggled with our last Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, who described him as a xenophobe and a misogynist in his own book.
Okay, so you may be justifying your comments, but how do you
forgive me, let me answer the question. You will struggle with the vice presidential candidate that he's just selected, who's also had things to say. The truth of our relationship is it is a special relationship. We saw how special it was over the skies of Israel and Jordan, where our military came together to stop those missiles falling on those two countries just a few weeks ago. We will work with whomever the American people choose to be in the White House over generations now. Whatever the colour of the political party in number 10 or the White House, the UK and the US work together extremely closely.
You haven't actually answered the question. If you have to meet Donald Trump...
I think I have answered the question, you just didn't like the answer.
Not for me to like or dislike your answers, it's for me to get out a clear answer. If you were to meet Donald Trump after describing him as a neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath, do you think that sets a good tone for our Foreign Secretary and potentially the new President of the United States?
Well, as I've said, you'll struggle to find anyone who hasn't had things to say about Donald Trump. He's just picked a vice president who's had some pretty choice language.
And what do you make of his comments then?
The truth is, when I speak to Republicans, and I've spoken to many, as you know, including those who might be his defence secretary or secretary of state, Donald Trump has the thickest of skins. There is a lot of rhetoric, but look at the action. He was the first to give javelins to Ukraine after 2015. He talked about withdrawing from NATO. He actually increased troops to NATO. So in a grown-up world, in the national interests of this country, of course, if the American people choose Donald Trump as their president, we will work as closely with him as we can, and we will seek to influence him where we disagree.
J.D. Vance, you mentioned his running mate, has said in the past that he was wrong about Donald Trump, and now he's his running mate for vice president. And yes, you have said he's made some choice comments. He said that in a conference that the UK is the first truly Islamist country, and I think he was laying that out as a joke. Regardless, he said he was wrong about Donald Trump. Are you now saying that?
Well, look, let me just say on J.D. Vance that I've met him now on several occasions. We share a similar working class background with addiction issues in our family. We've written books on that, we've talked about that, and we're both Christians. So I think I can find common ground with J.D. Vance. As I have said, Donald Trump is the biggest, in many ways, of political characters we have at this point on the planet. Lots of people have had things to say, but in our common interests, with security as a central challenge in the global community, war in the Middle East, war in Europe, with tremendous challenges for cost of living across the globe, there is a lot of common cause that the UK can strike with the US, and we will do that with whomever is in the White House.
Foreign Secretary David Lammy, thank you very much for your time with us here on BBC Breakfast.
Thank you.